Kal Phir, and I'm a PhD student in computing and mathematics. My degree in mathematics inspired me to pursue a career in computer science. I particularly enjoyed a module, and there are much larger problems that can be solved, and in order to do that, we have to use computers. What excites me about my career in computer science is the number of options that I have. Once I've completed my PhD, I can go and work in industry, I can train to be a lecturer, I can continue with research. There really are many options that I can pursue. If I could give myself advice, I would say to try and pick the correct subjects, pick subjects that give you choices, and always try your best. Well, over the past 10 years, our lives have dramatically changed by the impact of computing. For example, the use of smartphones, sat-navs, self-driving cars, all things like that have dramatically changed our lives, and it's quite unpredictable what is going to happen in the next 10 years, but what we can be sure of is that technology is going to impact us a lot more.
I'm Caroline Tom, and I'm an undergraduate student at Manchester Metropolitan University, doing a bachelor's degree in computing. I was inspired by a lady called Mary Lou Jepson. She created a low-powered and low-cost laptop and made it available to over 100 million children in third world countries, which I thought was amazing. When I was younger, I used to play a lot of computer games from a very early age. We always had computers at home, and just being on the computers all the time inspired me to think I wanted to work in computing. The programming side of computer games, we used to have magazines and try and write our own games from them. So much excites me about my future in computer science. There's so many areas that I'm interested in. The 3D web applications covers a lot of graphics, information, and I'd love to go into that side of building 3D models that could be used in advertising, so perhaps working in advertising could be something that excites me a lot. The programming side, I'd love to work in a company that builds software, and to see myself in a role doing that one day is everything that I aspire to. And the data engineering, I'm interested in everything about it. There isn't a particular subject at the moment, I could say, that I've focused on. It's the whole range of subjects. I've got quite a lot of advice I wish I could have given myself when I was younger and taken a path in computing. I would definitely recommend that you look into studying more on the maths side of things. As I've realised, there's quite a lot of maths involved in most areas of computing, and so that's definitely a direction to take. There's so many options available for you to go into now. If you look around everywhere, you have the Facebook, and there's websites for everything, applications on your mobile phone, game applications, and many more areas to look into. I would definitely suggest you perhaps join a coding club and learn coding early. I think when you're younger you can absorb that information much better, so the sooner you start, the better, definitely. Over the years I've noticed that computers are now starting to become everywhere. Everybody's carrying a computer, pretty much, whether it's on the mobile phone or a tablet. Even now, you can get computers on your simple wristwatch. It just enables for communication at any time. You can email someone at any time, social media at any time. It's completely everywhere you look. Even to the point now where software has been developed where a car will drive itself and park itself and just carry you around. This is something in the future. I think computers are changing the world a lot and will continue to change and become more prominent everywhere.
So my name's Dr. Annabelle Lathan, and currently what I do is I'm a senior lecturer in computing at Manchester Met University. I was inspired to do computer science, I suppose, by my A-level computing teacher. He was just really good fun, and he really opened up the subject. But I've had a number of different sort of areas of my life. I moved from university, where I did study computer science, into various computing jobs, and then I came back to university. And so in my current role in my research, I've been inspired by one of the senior female academics here, Dr. Crockett, who's really encouraged me to move on with computing. I really liked solving problems and sort of mathematical, kind of logical problems when I was at school, which is why it sort of appealed to me, and it was quite good to do computing because it's quite a wide sort of a subject. There's loads of different aspects, and you can always find something fun that appeals to you. Well, my career to date has been two careers really, because I changed career sort of part way through, which is also quite fun because it's a massive opportunity to do that. So when I left university, I worked in a number of small software houses in a team. Usually in computing you work in teams, and my role was dealing with users, so helping them, installing systems for them, project managing that installation, making sure they were okay, training them, answering their questions, making sure everything went smoothly, writing manuals, help manuals and things like that. So it was quite a varied role in a small software setup, which was fantastic. And the team was mixed gender really, but probably more females doing the training and things, just through communication, and that's just the way it went. I then moved into sort of more bigger management roles and marketing management roles of computing related software and computing related courses. So I had a great career, did loads of travel, I met loads of interesting people, a lot of overseas travel, and had a lot of fun, and there was always really varied work because computing is such a massive sort of area integrated in all areas of the life that we lead now. Then I decided to come back to university, so I came back. I was working here at that time in terms of admissions, but I decided to come back, do an MSc. Then I really enjoyed the research part of that, so I decided to go into AI and pursue my research career. So then I did a PhD, a doctorate, and wanted to become a lecturer, so that's what I did, and it all worked out well. Computing really, because it's so big in scope and it's so integrated into our lives. So things that were artificial intelligence research, 30 years ago are now here. They're on our mobile phones. They do predictive text. They let us search the internet. They let the internet exist. They crawl the internet to find things, cheap flights for us, as well as being in our fridges, in our ovens, in our cars. As well as the whole advances in medical science that have come from modelling computing and looking at the ways that drugs are developed, the way data's engineered, and the massive internationalisation and selling over the internet, things like that. So computers are in most aspects of our lives. And what inspires me really for the future in terms of the research is just the scope of what's possible and how they can help us as humans sort of grow and solve problems that face us all the time. So what I would say if you're at school is don't be put off by the kind of boys' toys image and computer nerd image of computing, because it's not fair and not accurate like most sort of stereotypes. Subjects like maths have got a much higher percentage of women in them than computing. We've got sort of typically 12% women in our courses. What that means though is when we move into employment, it's actually easier for women to get a job. Usually in computing we work in teams, and having mixed gender teams is generally accepted as being much better, and there's a lot of different roles in computing. I went into computing because I really liked doing puzzles and logic, and I was good at maths, and I just liked the scope of the computing and solving problems really with the coding. But there's loads of other aspects of computing that we do. There's a whole industry built up around testing, around looking at the psychology of people and how they interact with computing, well, anything really, but screens, computers, mobile phones, and how we can design better systems to make it easier for them. There's the thought of coming up with an algorithm that's going to improve searching or that's going to move research forward. There's my research area, which is in natural language conversation, so looking at how we can talk to a computer and get it to respond to us so that we can have interactions that don't need the technology. We can do it on our phone, just phoning up the computer and talking to it like they do in Star Trek. There's huge scope of things to do. So if you really like solving problems, if you like doing puzzles, computer science is vast. There's not just the sort of technical, the networking areas, all of the hardware side of it. There's opportunities across the board. So I would say it's great to have more women in computing. Generally, we do very well in terms of our degree education, and employers are always coming to us saying they need more women in their teams, moving into management roles, project managers, or also as part of the coding teams, working with businesses to make sure that their problems can be solved and they can be helped, and just looking for new opportunities to apply it. So I'd say do what you think's fun. If you enjoy logical puzzles, if you enjoy maths, if you enjoy coding and solving problems, then computing's definitely going to be for you. But don't rule it out if that's not what you enjoy. Have a look in detail at all the different sorts of jobs that there are in computing and think about how you want to affect the future and go for that. And always, like me, if you change your mind, 10 years down the line, it's fine, just change jobs. There's many opportunities to do that, so don't angst over it. My research field, like many of us in computing, is in what we call artificial intelligence. That is a huge area as well. So if you look at, robotics, if you look at the Mars mission, you couldn't do that without an unmanned spacecraft. You couldn't do that without artificial intelligence, without ways of doing things and getting problems solved and communicating that back to us over a long distance. You couldn't have driverless cars, which we now have and which there are now laws relating to them in places like California. My role, my inspiration is in natural language communication. How can we make a computer seem to be like an intelligent human? And that's got loads of applications. In my area, I work in terms of education, online education, but just in terms of mentoring, in terms of helping people, in terms of helping you find your way around a museum, in terms of being an old person who's lonely wanting to talk to her fridge. There's huge applications for AI across the board, and that's what I think is going to be great for the future.
My name is Kal Phir and I'm a PhD student in computing and mathematics. My degree in mathematics inspired me to pursue a career in computer science. I particularly enjoyed a module and there are much larger problems that can be solved, and in order to do that we have to use computers. What excites me about my career in computer science is the number of options that I have. Once I've completed my PhD, I can go and work in industry, I can train to be a lecturer, I can continue with research. There really are many options that I can pursue. If I could give myself advice, I would say to try and pick the correct subjects, pick subjects that give you choices, and always try your best.
I'm Caroline Tom and I'm an undergraduate student at Manchester Metropolitan University doing a bachelor's degree in computing. I was inspired by a lady called Mary Lou Jepson. She created a low-powered and low-cost laptop and made it available to over 100 million children in third world countries, which I thought was amazing. When I was younger, I used to play a lot of computer games from a very early age. We always had computers at home, and just being on the computers all the time inspired me to think I wanted to work in computing. The programming side of computer games, we used to have magazines and try and write our own games from them.